Good morning.
Do you see this shit?
We're live, bitch. No, I'm just kidding. I mean, well, kind of. I mean, I'm not kidding. We're live, but. Oh, so fun times. Today's service. I'm pulling up some stuff here. It's just me. I know that's exciting, right? Just me. Only me. Hey, little tree sap. How's it going? But yes, today you only get me. Rook is running to get a haircut. We're trying to manage getting all of our stuff together to drive the 2.5, 3 hours back over to Cape Coral, so that we can check on the house. You know, we still have some animals there that we're keeping that aren't as affected by heat as our the big fluff ball. So. But yeah, so we're doing kind of doing things together. Rook's going to get his haircut. I'm doing our service today. So hello, hey Noella, how's it going? So I think it is going to be probably a shorter service again today, but this way we can kind of coordinate and we can get across. Because like I said, we have 2.5 hours to get across, and then if depending on the temperature, we may decide to stay one night, but we still don't have power, so that's still a thing. We're doing that back and forth trek, and we've got to get back to normal at work, so we've got to start working tomorrow. So that's gonna be tough because we can't do it at the house, so all that. But anyway, we'll figure it out one way or another. Now our thing is, we don't have a place for the dogs because both of us have to return, and we can't keep taking the dogs to the facility because it's not a facility for animals. But hey, Dragon Dancer, good morning. But today is not going to be about the hurricane, stuff like that. This is trying to get some normalcy back to the service discussion, right? Now, there's been a lot of stuff in the news. We normally do our news and our book talk, so I am still reading Uncle Setnack's guide, Essential Guide to the Left-Hand Path. It is an amazing book. It has so much. Actually, let me grab it because there's a couple of things I wanted to point out in it. Oops. So, that has just been a really fun thing for me. And then we've got a ton of books and things that we have been working through. At the same time, I love Fire and Ice, which is the path for the Norse Pagan that was recommended by Heather. That's the other book I'm currently working through too, slowly, but love it. So if you are interested in Norse or heathenry or something that's a little more open, accepting, and modern, just in general, not more than anything else, but just that's something that it focuses on. So that is a great book to read. And Paranormal, welcome. Thank you for showing today. I appreciate you. One of the things that I wanted to talk about is, we talk about this anyway, like in our books and stuff. So we always talk about what it is. And I'm honestly not 100% sure. Sorry, I was just responding to very important people's. We're going to do a grid today. Dragon Dancer Joy was talking about sitting today with a new grid and doing some workings. So that is something that I like to talk about, right? That is fun for me. Which is we've talked about a lot as community, right? And doing things and actually going out and actually doing the stuff that we say we do, and exercising it and performing it and doing work. So I wanted to reply to Joy real quick. I don't think she has internet yet, so she's really not able to get on or come into stream, but she's talking about, working on grid and all of this stuff. And the thing is, I know we talked about yesterday, it was actually part of the tarot and from last week, that just because somebody else's misfortune is worse than yours doesn't discount your own misfortune. So remember that. I think that is a very left-hand path idea as well. So it can always be worse mentality, which I have, and I'm working through that of saying, you know what, it can always be worse, but that's not the reason to have a positive attitude. It can always be worse is recognizing that other people can have difficulty too, but everybody responds differently to difficulty. I'm not going to belabor this because we talked about it yesterday, and I really want to get in my book, but Dragon Dancer, if you have an opportunity to, I know you guys are doing some working too, but we are going to the house today. We're doing a full smoke cleansing. Yesterday we did a full dragon's blood cleansing of the house. Felt great. Today we're doing, I think, mugwort for the whole house. Rook is setting up a cage for his veiled chameleon that we now know everything that you can know about it because that's important to him at this point. So we're going to do that. And then we're going to set up a crystal grid. I have tons of shards and a couple of charges, and I'm going to set up a grid for that. So just to kind of have that connection, but we will work it anyway. So what I wanted to do is real quick. Oh, and Little Tree Sap, I did see your comment. Yes, I am not sure if we're going to be able to do the discussion today. It depends on really when Rook gets back. Maybe we can for a short time because I really want to hear about some books that you have, at least for a one. If we're able to do it today, it's going to really depend. So in Uncle Setneck's Guide to the Left-Hand Path, Essential Guide to the Left-Hand Path by Don Webb, there is I'm a highlighter already, but look, there's so much in here that can be very beneficial. And what I wanted to talk about today is tarot. And since tarot is a common divinatory tool, this is a formal divination procedure using tarot from this guide. And I like it because it really helps. It aids in, finding path and progress and where to go. And it also kind of works with shadow work a little bit because it kind of gives that guidance and that push and gives you some answers. So what I did, and I followed this, and I'm going to continue doing it for a while. And this again it's tying back into the. I am still going to make sure that I take care of myself by realizing and recognizing my own stressors, by understanding that some people do have it worse, and being sympathetic to that, and being a community steward to helping those that are less fortunate. At the same time, putting forth the energy that my misfortune and my difficulties are also a stress that need to be addressed, right? And this helps kind of do that. And this is more of a broad thing, though. So in this guide, again, I'm finding every page to be extremely beneficial. And since the tarot is a common divinatory tool, this is an example of a formal divination procedure using the tarot. So first step is ask yourself 4 questions, right? This is really, I think, something that you can utilize for anxiety reduction. And I think it's something that you might be able to use just in general, daily, over time. So number 1, so now think about this. We're going to use the tarot, but we're going to start with these 4 questions. We're going to ask ourselves, how does my current situation reflect possibilities for my development? That's a loaded question, right? So my current situation, and it's going to depend on your perspective. If your normal, or your current situation, hey, guys, stop it. Sorry, dogs are at the door of the thing. I don't want them to chew up the floor. Anyway, my current situation is going to be determined by a perspective, right? So my current situation, the first thing that pops into my mind is I still don't have power. I'm in a hotel. We're driving a minimum of 6 hours a day back and forth. We're tired. We want to get back to some habit. But then I also get to the guilt of, but some people don't have a house to go back to. I should be thankful. I should be grateful. So my current situation is reflected upon my perspective of where I'm at right now. So if I reflect on it, what possibilities do I have for development there? Number 1, recognize that my own issues, concerns, feelings are valid and important. The dinosaur is yours now. I said it. That's funny. That is hilarious. And I can understand that. But my current situation is, where we are and what's happening and what's going on in your life at the moment. The second question, let me go back. So how does my current situation reflect possibilities for my development? to me, this is really thinking in quiet meditation, maybe, or however you do, of, where I am and what's going on. I'm actually first drawn to, I wasn't prepared enough, or we should have done the whole house generator, or I should have saved money differently. But then I go to the other side too, because we want to look at these things and remember, and I use the allowance box. So these are things that I'm looking at in the allowance box. I'm reflecting. But I have the means to get a hotel, and I had insurance. I have the means to drive 6 hours a day to get the stuff taken care of. I have the means to have stress reduction in the form of chihuahuas and the big dogs, right? So the perspective isn't that, oh, woe is me. It's, we are following. Yeah, I get it. That's funny. We are looking at both and multiple sides of it, not just what is the bad or what is the negative, but what is the positive. And that's what the allowance box lets you do. So when you're looking at your current situation, remember that you've got to listen to what you're saying to yourself. And if you go straight to the negative, remind yourself you got to do the positive too. And you go straight to the positive, remind yourself that you've also got to go to the negative side too, because you've got to address things wholly, from all corners. And that is going to help you answer that question one: how does my current situation reflect possibilities for development? The second one is, how have my weaknesses contributed to being where I am? And how can I use getting out of where I am to get where I need to be? So that's, again, kind of looking at, my weaknesses are sometimes I'm indecisive. I am not great at saving money. So there's all these things that I choose and can do that will affect my current situation, both, again, positively and negatively, for lack of better terminology. What will the real this is like the kicker for me, the kicker. What will the real impact of my current situation be in 6 days, 6 months, and 6 years? Things are going pretty smoothly for me. In 6 days, I'm going to be annoyed and frustrated. But 6 months, we'll be talking about it. But we'll be doing things. We will be getting things corrected. We'll be getting things fixed. We will be moving into a new paradigm, right? 6 years, won't even be thinking about this. They'll be like, oh my God, can you remember that hurricane that really affected us and how we had to drive and all this stuff? Yeah, that was crazy. We made it through it. So when you think about it in those terms of 6 days, 6 months, 6 years, thinking the sixes, right? It really helps you put into perspective what you're doing now, where you are. And now remember, for me, it's important that that perspective is what changes, because I'm not minimizing my own feelings or my own misfortunes. What I'm doing is I'm putting them into perspective through myself, while still allowing space for other people's misfortunes to be better or worse than mine. It's a different process, right? And it's just very neat how that third question to me is just like, that's the cream there. Yeah, Dragon Dancer. It's that it really helps you kind of put it into perspective, right? And then how many factors are governing that current situation? Job, stress, animals, things, people, person, places, community, all of these things are going to have parts of this, right? Yes, 666, that's it. But all of those little things, right? And question number 4, the factors that govern it are factors that you maybe can or cannot control. And those are what help you find the gap. So in business or in psych, this would be a gap analysis, right? You're analyzing the gap between where you are, where you want to be, and how do you build that bridge to connect them. And that's what this is talking about. And it's just freaking amazing. But this is only part 1, by the way. Part 1 is the 4 questions. That alone will have a big impact when you're thinking. And this is all Left-Hand Path book, right? So how does my current situation reflect possibilities for my development? So looking at my current state and seeing where can I grow? Not where am I good or where am I bad, but where can I grow? How many weaknesses, or how have my weaknesses contributed to being where I am? And how can I use getting out of where I am to get where I need to be? That's creating and building the bridge. What is the real impact in 666? 6 days, 6 months, 6 years, right? That real impact is going to lessen and lessen over time. And then how many factors are governing the current situation? So all of these things are perspective building, which I thought are pretty cool. The second part of this self look, right, and path directing, is write down your answers in your magical diary, right? So we highly recommend always writing stuff down and using a diary or journal. And I am a big proponent of that. I have multiple for different things, and I've been, it's something that really helps to write. But write the answers down, and then there's an invocation that they recommend. This is the part I have not done yet. Sorry, every time you hear that bing, That is me looking to see if power is being restored in different areas by ring. So anyway. So the third step is an invocation. I'm going to read the invocation because I like the invocation, and it's a self-empowerment and self-positive. It's, O self that I seek to become, open your mysteries to me. Rejoice in steps to overcome that which hinders me. Bless my serenity in accepting that which I must suffer to change me, and energize my magical curiosity that I may know the difference. Let my view extend beyond time and space. Hail myself to be. So instead of hail thyself, it's hail myself to be. Because we're looking at where we're going into that forward motion, right? Where are we going to get to go? And I just think that is freaking, to me, this is why this book has just been so much life-changing to me as far as processing how I do stuff. So now we've done part 1 is the question, part 2 is writing them down, part 3 is invocation, part 4 is cards. You're going to pull cards. You're going to use different methods. It doesn't matter. This recommends the tarot. Hey, Finn. Sorry, we don't want them to bark too loud in the hotel. Finn, come on, Bubba. Give me 1 second, y'all. Finny Bubs. Come here, Finn. You can't bark, he barks. Come here, Bubby. Come here, Bubby. I know. Y'all hush. So, I just don't want them barking too much while we're up here to bother anybody. I know it's after 10, but sorry about that, guys. They don't like because they can hear somebody talking in the hallway. It's housekeeping probably. So I might have to put these guys in the back for a minute. But anyway, so once you go through that, you do a tarot reading. 5, write down the reading and your interpretation of it. Look for other patterns. So this is like, which I also like. And this is good for any tarot, by the way. Write down your reading, your interpretation, and be brutal with yourself. Now, brutal can be negative, but we're talking both. You want to be brutally honest, but don't be brutally tearing yourself down. You can brutally build yourself back up too, right? Come on, honey. Y'all come over here. And I love that. And then the other thing, again, for tarot is look for patterns and things like who the cards remind you of, noises in your room while you're doing the reading, other synchronicities, and note them. That is important in a normal tarot reading anyway. 5, you write it all down. Oh, no, wait, that was 6. 5, you write down. 6, that 7, this one is cool. After you have written down your readings and you look for patterns and all that stuff, then you look through and you pick up the cards that you do not like. Put down cards in their place for the reading you'd like to see. So now pull the cards you don't like, right? And you're going to look at those cards as yourself and things that you need to change as yourself, right? Writing down your successes and failures. And then every 6 or 7 months, review your progress. Are you becoming more accurate with your predictions? If not, change it. Are you getting better about bringing about what you want? If so, then yes. Now, this is scientific method, right? Finny, hushy. And that is one of the things that's in the Left-Hand Path Guide that really talks to getting results in magic, and that is scientific method. So you are diarying and journaling. Diarying, that sounds way too close to diarrhea. But you're journaling in order to see, is what you're doing making results? Is your interpretation making sense? I keep track of my reads. When I do reads, they make little notes. You know, the 7 of Pentacles will come up one time and mean something completely different. I'm like, wait a minute, that's not what I normally read that as. I write it down. And then I listen to see if that actually happens or changed with people. So that's something that we do. But yes, wanted to share that today because I think that it just really helps underscore how important it is to work your magic and be a part of magic and learn new things, right? Yes. Take your call, but yes, this is an amazing book. I'm gonna put it back up. I'll place it in the Discord too, just in case, because I'm telling you, it has been pretty amazing. And this is just one of the many pages and exercises that I've seen so far that I like. That's been very helpful to me. But you know, I think often that I'm fortunate and things are good, and what happens and what's been happening and I'm realizing over time lately is that by always looking for other people to help other people, to make other people feel better, I have pushed my own self-care needs down, which a lot of people do. And I think the way out of that is to still, when you start learning how to allow things to happen and give space, you start learning how to do it 3 and 4 and 5 dimensionally. And that's where I kind of am learning now, I think, that I can give allowance to more than one thing. I'm allowing my own feelings of discomfort to sit over here, right? And say, I feel a little guilty that I'm so upset that I don't have power when I still have a house to go back to. And then I'm thinking, but I've worked really hard to get where I am and do the things that we do. Tina, you can't bark. Can't barky bark. To get where I want to be and what I've done. And so I shouldn't negate that feeling. I should allow them both to exist. And you can be both. They're not mutually exclusive. So that's enough of that. I'm going to repeat that. Hail myself to be. I love that. I think that is such a good way to look at things. Now, I do think it's important to recognize, and I think you probably would agree with this, Little Tree Sap, tell me if you don't, or if you have a different thought on this, is I like the hail thyself to be, or hail myself to be, when doing certain work, but I feel like that could also be an never-ending future attainment thing that becomes a problem in our psyche too. So if we're always hailing ourselves to be, maybe we're it's always just out of reach. We have to remember we got to do both, right? When we're doing work on improving ourselves, we're going to hail ourselves to be because that's the working. But when we're doing work to manifest things right now, it's hail thyself because we are already that powerful magician. And I just think that that's really important to kind of recognize. So, but anyway, that is page 24 and 25. If you get this book, and it's under the divination section. And I'm like, this isn't divination. This is freaking self-help. But there is so many things in here. For example, learning life lessons. If you continue to act with an initiatory attitude, all life experiences can be used in the quest for sovereignty. The choice isn't finding the right thing to do, but finding the right attitude that informs your actions. I mean, there ain't nothing in the Bible that teaches that clearly. That's what I'm saying. So, exactly, Dragon Dancer. Yes, we can feel for the other people. We can even help. We can even have sympathy for and empathy and do things that will assist them, but not at our own expense, because when we do them at our own expense, we will not be able to even offer that bit of help. And then on top of that, if you don't deal with your hole in your roof and other damage that you have, you're not going to be whole either. And we do that, I think, physically and emotionally. And so emotionally, sometimes you have to say, I am not you, I am me, I am my limit. So I am going to adjust that. So for me, a lot of guilt of not being able to help our community as much, which we have done a little, but I mean, we were working 24/7 literally at the facility taking care of patients. And I consider that my job. So then I felt guilty a little bit. It's I'm not doing enough to help the people around me, but I'm thinking, we're freaking taking care of patients. So it is what it is. But that absolutely is true. And yes, Little Tree Sap, I think you're right on. I agree 100%. I thought that was good. Point. Yep. And I'm afraid of that. That's something I would probably do, is start chasing my own tail by saying, hail thyself to be, and that just becomes the standard. I'm wait a minute. Maybe you even should hail who you were sometimes. You hail who I were. Hail to thyself I was. Because that person got me to... Hush. All right, I'm going to put a couple of you in the back. We can say bye-bye for a minute because there's too much in the hallway there. Come on. I tricked them all. They're going to get mad. That might not be a good idea. We'll see. Yeah. So that's kind of where I wanted to kind of share from the book was those kind of concepts, and that's just a couple out of the many that are in there, So, news-wise, trying to get back into our scheduling of stuff. I don't have anything newsworthy because our life has been just focused significantly on just rest and getting things done, and that's all we've had time to do. So that's been the big thing for that. Guys, y'all can't be happy no matter what, can you? Oh yay! Sorry. They're even louder if I put them in the back. So, shh, guys, really? Hush. Hush. This is a stressor. This is a stressor to me. We're only supposed to have 2 dogs in here. We have 5. So I don't need anybody coming in and complaining like they did at the last place. Hush, guys. But you know, it is what, like 10, 11 o'clock in our time. So people are up and moving around, getting to check out and all that stuff. But anyway, I really thought that would be something to share. Again, so going back news-wise, I didn't have anything specific on our news events because the news really for us has been Ian. But there have been other things. There was a trigger warning, mass shooting in Thailand. There is a young kid that was shot by a police officer for no reason at all. I forgot where that was, saw that in the news. But so there's a lot of things going on. I don't have my normal news ticker either to kind of point all that out because it's just been, like I said, focus in our own world, but the world has gone on around us without us. Let me see if there was anything else that was in here that I saw this morning. We know whatchamacallit in Russia is having, that the bridge that was between, I think, Russia and Crimea, and then threats of nuclear war, just all kinds of stuff that are going crazy. It just doesn't... Oh, the Florida school shooter, that was the Parkland shooter. Just a problem. I mean, this is craziness to me. But yeah, so the world is going to hell in a handbasket, but it's not really because that's just what we're seeing. If you take all that out, violence is always going to be a part of life. I don't know why. It just is because that's where we are, but it doesn't and shouldn't outshadow all of the amazing things that go on in between because there's a lot of great things out there. But absolutely do I recommend that book. There's no question. Uncle Set Next, Essential Guide to the Left-Hand Path by Don Webb. And we have a couple of other books by Don Webb as well that are pretty interesting looking. We have not read them yet, but that's on the list. Fire and Ice is another one that's on the list. So, should check those out. I think it was Paranormal, which, not sure why I went up 5 octaves. But there is a really good section in here on sigils, by the way. It's just 1 page, 1.5 pages. So it's very helpful. I've used this method for sigils. It's not my only method, but it is one. So that is something that you might want to consider too, if this is an interesting book to you. It's not very expensive. I think it was $10, $10 or $12. And you can make a sigil using that. It's a pretty common magic square method. So yeah, I don't remember. I think that was you. I don't know if in case I was wrong. Yeah, no, I know. And we haven't been reading much either. We're just too tired. We're still waiting to do any significant work at the house. Right now we're just cleaning and reorganizing and moving stuff around, considering, again, we don't have power and we don't want to do too much. But our insurance adjuster comes out a week from Wednesday. So that's not, what is it? That's the 19th. So that means the weekend of the 22nd, 23rd is when we'll probably do the majority of our work. We will have a fresh earth and elemental grid up by 4:30 p.m. today. I'm going to put you in there too, Dragon. I think Dragon is doing similar because we need to connect all these together. So, yeah, we're I get that too. Like moving into from a reader to doing, especially right now, it's going to be pretty important. That we stay focused and get stuff together and really organize the things that are happening right now, so that we can have some process and some positive motion. But yeah, so slow going it is, but again, we get power back, we're good. Everything should hopefully go back to normal as far as what we do. Silent Supper was my second topic for today, so I wanted to talk a little bit about that. Because Silent Supper is really important. We did it, I think it was last year, and we're planning on doing it every year as one of our things. Now, we generally would do it November 4th. For this year, because of the weekend, I think the 4th or the 5th, which is a Saturday. Pretty sure we're still going to do it. It just might, I don't know, we're going to have to be a little careful because our back area where we do it is not safe. So it's not, I don't know how or if we'll be able to do it the same way, but we are going to do something for sure. And so Silent Supper is, I don't, the full, well, generally, you would do a Silent Supper between Samhain and Mabon. It's more of a Samhain thing. It's about the thinning of the veils. Now, November 4th and 5th is a little bit more in line, at least right now, with where those areas are, the thinning of the veil and actual Samhain historically. And, it's just important that we continue to do those things. So what is Silent Supper? So Silent Supper is kind of like it sounds. It's silent, right? I'm looking for my little notes that I had on it because I can read them to you if I can find it. The purpose of it, though, is to engage ancestors, to revere and or honor the ancestors that you have, and what has really led you to where you are and what you're doing and how life has gone for you, and how that goes along with it, right? How the ancestors honoring goes along with it. So we did last year at Samhain, that was our celebration. Now we do a separate celebration with Samhain. I think that's going to be at the church. But the one that we did last year and that we will probably continue had it was really nice, relatively small. But we do a lot of prep, and in the prep, it's joyous, it's joyful, it's loosening up, it is opening the veil because the veil is thin at this time. It's really allowing ancestors in, and literally, when we're in the kitchen, you feel your family in there with you. You feel that yes, I agree. Samhain is definitely the season, not a day. 100% agree. But so you're feeling that person with you, and I mean to the point of where I almost see apparitions of, your grandparents, great grandparents, your ancestors in that kitchen or in that space with you, going about, and we play music, we enjoy it, we have fun, we really celebrate each other in a very happy way. And then generally what we do is we work in and we talk a little bit about how we set up our altar table, right? Last year we made the black scrying mirrors with Joy. That was one of our craft projects, and we made enough to give one each person, and then we gave tea lights and we gave pencil and paper so that we could write things on the pencil and paper that were part of the ritual. And then we had the candle lighting. Those kind of things are all representative of the flame that grows within us and that has been passed down, that we pass with each other. We invocated, we called circle, we called land, we did quite a few things. We read a couple of stories-ish, had some talks, but then we had a playlist. We worked through that playlist and all this stuff, and then supper begins. Once supper starts, everything else stops. There's no sound, no music. We don't let anything continue at that point. And what's really cool about it is I remember, we were thinking about, in that silence, our ancestors, the people that we know and that we love, and then those that we don't know, those ancestors that we don't know, but they had to be available for us to exist. They had to be available. They had to exist for us to exist, right? So those ancestors were also welcomed. I will tell you, I don't think there was a dry eye in the group. There was uncontrolled random laughter, crying. There was noise. I mean, it was probably one of the most energetic and magical moments. So I think even if you're by yourself, silent supper is a huge thing, and I think it should be it should be bigger than Christmas, to be honest. Hey guys, get away, get out from under here. Um, I think it just should be really big part of our Samhain, and I think it's even not Samhain. It's such a thanksgiving to the ancestors and stuff. So that is definitely something that we will not stop. Um, and paranormal pancakes for the kids is always a good thing. I love pancakes, especially with fruits. So, so Samhain and really Silent Supper was the focus, but Samhain as well. I think the big thing with Silent Supper was our first one. We didn't really understand what it was going to bring out in us. We just thought, okay, we're gonna have Silent Supper. We're going to have reverence for. We're gonna honor our ancestors. But what came out of it is we tranced. We went places. We astrally traveled. We went into dreams. We went into the back of our mind and our history, and we grew into doing different things. And it just was amazing. And I can't even begin to express how important it is. And we were talking a little bit about doing some streaming of this, and I think we probably will if we can get it to work and all that stuff, with everything that's happening. As far as, what we do beforehand and part of the celebration, cooking, that kind of stuff. The Silent Supper itself, though, that is definitely something that we worked out in private, and kind of keep, silent at that point. Get away from under the chair. Scooch your pooch. Scooch your pooch. So, you're a booger. Why are you so loud today? So that was Fim. Ma is the other. She's got the biggest mouth out of all of these cheese. You really make this little thing right here. This 3.5 pounds. Biggest noise. And she knows it too. Tina says, Tina says hi too, but I'm not moving her. Hi, Tina. God, it's so loud. Anyway. Hey. Every single noise they're going to run to. So anyway, that's the major part of today. I wanted to talk about the Uncle Setnack's guide, those 4 pieces, and that divinatory message that they have. I thought it was amazing. And just wanted to share that with you. So do I recommend the book? Yes. Do you have to be left-hand path to read it? No. Do you have to have any religion? No. It will help you. It will give you guidance. It will give you things to do, but you have to work through the book. And it is freaking on point. I can't even begin to say how much it's had an effect on me in a positive manner, and I've really enjoyed it. It's actually, unfortunately, probably going to lead me, well, not unfortunately, but fortunately for me, but unfortunately for some others, it's leading me down a direction of making sure that things that I do are beneficial to me, and not things that will linger and pull me down as I allow those things to happen. And I may look like a jerk in the end on that, but in the end, I've got to do what's right for me and what's good for me and what keeps me going and what feeds my soul, and what left-hand path in this instance has taught me is that that's an important thing to consider when choosing how to spend your valuable time. So we can switch to tarot. I only think there's 3 or 4 of you in here. So if you want a tarot read, let me know. I am still using the Magicians, Martyrs, and Madmen tarot. I absolutely adore this tarot. Magicians, Martyrs, and Madmen. This is beyond insane to me. I just absolutely love it. So if you want to get a read, I might do 1 or 2 or 3 cards. It just depends. But I will pull some cards and, get it going for that. So just let me know in the chat if you want it. And let me know 2 things. Number 1, if you want to get a read, let me know if you have a question. And then let me know if you want to hear the historical compendium alongside it, which I love reading those. They're long, but I don't want to bore you if you don't want to hear them. So let me know. Dragon Dancer, then I'll put you first on the list. Do you have a question, and do you want to hear the historical compendium reading from it as well? Which, by the way, is amazing. Book in its own right. Like, it's too cool. I just don't know how accurate it is. So we're going to get out and we're going to... I don't need the book. I just need the book. We're going to do some reads, but... I agree. Dragon Dance, I think my last, 3 or 4 reads have all been about cutting the things that we don't need anymore or that don't serve us. And I need to do that in a couple more areas emotionally and with my time. Our area, which, this is another really, really positive part about this hurricane to me in a perspective shift is, and I think Joy mentioned it. I think, Dragon, you might have even mentioned it. A couple people have talked about this is, we got a pruning. I think even Holly, I saw something posted on her. We got a pruning. The Mother Earth said, we need to trim you down a bit. And they trimmed us down. And it made us a little more humble, I think. It made us a little more appreciative of the things that we have and hopefully better stewards of the earth. But everything has been about cutting off the extra fat so that growth can occur. Appropriately. So I will do a general, Dragon, and we will pull your history when we go through it as well. So let's get this going. I have absolutely adore this tarot and the book. Get a general for Dragon Dancer. There are so many negative things that have happened. There are so many devastating things that have happened. And not even just Hurricane Ian, I mean, just life in general, there's devastation that happens. Like, people have devastating things. It's just that this one affected so many, makes it much more visible. But we take a moment to think about the losses that everybody's had, both in life, property, things, time, joy. But it is getting us back out to the land. It is getting us back out into literally cutting things that don't serve us, right? So let's get this general going here. We're going to Four of Swords. Okay, we'll do 3. How about that? We got the Four of Swords, which is Johannes Kelpius. I don't know who that is. I like Four of Swords, though. We have Eight of Cups. Let me give you the thing first. It's 8 of Cups. It is Reverend Thomas Baker. I also do not know who that is, but that looks like an card. So we're going to talk about that. And then we have the Knight of Swords, Grand Prince Czeslaw of Polotsk. Jesus, Mary and Joseph. I don't know how I'm talking about. So Knight of Swords. So tarot-wise, we have 4 of Swords, 8 of Cups, Knight of Swords. So as you can already tell, the first notable thing is we have swords. And when we have swords, we are talking a little bit more about those things that we can either pull together from our mind, from our brain, trust, right, to move things on. And it goes right along with our cutting off of things, right? Like, that's been the conversation. So we're still cutting stuff, which I really love. Now, the Four of Swords, for me, 4s are a foundational card. So in effect, your Four of Swords is rebuilding a foundation by cutting things off. It also sometimes represents worry. So maybe there's something that you're really worried about that you need to let go of so that you can feel a little bit more confident about what you're chopping. Maybe you feel like you're chopping too much. Little tree sap, absolutely. Love it, love it, love it. Thank you so much for stopping in. We will see you next week. We are definitely doing an after show no matter what. We're definitely going to do that. But the four of Swords again is cutting things for that foundation, but it really does represent some worry, some maybe things are a little too much or feeling a little too much, or worry about maybe I'm cutting too much. I think I already said that. But there's a mental strain to the Four of Swords. If you look, and I wish I could edit these in somehow, but if you look at his facial expression, how he's folded, I don't think those are folded in prayer hands. I think those are folded in thought. This is a contemplation. This is like, oh my God, I got to worry about this. What is the thing? What is the step? What is the this? And am I cutting too much? And how is that affecting, the things that I'm doing? So I think that's going to be one of the things that sticks out for this very specific worry card. The unfortunate thing of the Four of Swords too is, I don't want to say the swords are a negative suit, but they often do include the brain in overdrive. Like, when you were talking to me, most of your swords are your brain in full form, your mind in full thought. So that worry is probably a bit much and needs to be tempered a little bit. Now that's interesting with the next cup being the Eight of Cups. And that is Reverend Thomas Baker. So I will actually read that when I get to that point. So the Eight of Cups, when we look at this card is very interesting, but I think the Eight of Cups in this case is more of an abandonment need, a need to abandon. So I think this supports your Four of Swords by saying you're worried about cutting too much and what you have to do and all that stressor, but this is saying you are doing the right thing. So if you feel you are cutting something, but your first thought is, I am cutting this, but I feel like I'm just giving up, you're not. The Eight of Cups is telling you you need to let something go. You need to abandon something that's not serving you or that's not working for you, that's actually causing you stress. And it's unfortunate that the Eight is often kind of chaotic, right? From an emotion standpoint. Many times when you get to the eights, in tarot as a numerological number, it's in a pretty decent spot, but in the cups, it's a little different. Because this is like, think of maybe like the mental tornado is tizzied up by the time you get to the end. It will come back down, but it's chaotic right now. So, you're going to have to abandon some of those things that you are worried about in order to get yourself back to normal. And then lastly, we have the Knight of Swords, and I swear, no matter how much I consider saying this name, it is not going to work. And then I'll get to the historical part. But the Knight of Swords is Grand Prince Czeslaw of Polotsk. I don't usually have trouble saying stuff, but anyway, Knight of Swords, again, back in the swords and cutting, but Fan, get off the table. This dog, I swear to God. Benny, get. He knows better. See, he got down. Good boy, you stay down. The Knight of Swords, again, we're still in swords. We're still in the mind matter, the mind game, the mind thing. But this is a step up to the bravery and the courage and the forward motion, because the Knight of Swords is your true knight. So whenever you think of like the Knights of Arthurian or whatever, that is the Knight of Swords. And that is the knight that, I don't want to say this knight is better than the other knights, but this knight is the chivalrous knight. This knight is the knight this knight could be the king of it for everybody else. Like, this is the A team, right? And so it's really important. The dogs are nuts, man. But he's very important in this read, because this is letting me know that you're worried that you're going to cut too much and that your need to abandon a couple of things to kind of release and stay positive is the right thing. And the Knight of Swords is always about doing the right thing, the correct thing, the thing that is beneficial to the people of the kingdom. So very good entry there for Knight of Swords. I think that is going to be very important. Now, I do want to read these historical things, because they're really good. I may shorten some of them just because it's so long. But let's see. The Grand Prince, the Knight of Swords, is a magician. So it's magicians and martyrs and madmen, and they're in different groups. So that's a magician, but that's not the first one. We need Johannes Kelpius, which I've heard that name before. He is also a martyr or a magician. And then that one is going to have to be... Oh, Reverend Thomas Baker, the second card, is a martyr. So let's start with, like I said, Johannes Keplis. Let me get to that page. This book is freaking awesome. So Johannes Kelpius. Let me get this in a good spot here. Born in 1667 in Transylvania, which is modern-day Romania. Much like Vlad the Impaler 200 years before, he grew up in the minority German population in Transylvania, and went on to attend the University of Altdorf, achieving a master's degree in theology by 22. Didn't know they had that in 1667. That's weird. His birth name was Johann Kelp, but was Latinized at the university according to the customs of the time. So Johann Kelp became Johannes Kelpius. During his studies, he was drawn to Pietism, which is a sect of Lutheranism that emphasized individual piety and strict Christian living. He was a student of music, botany, theology, astronomy, and came to believe the end of the world would occur in 1694, like so many believe is going to happen at random weird for some reason, based on interpretations of Revelations 12:6. And the woman fled into the wilderness where she had a place prepared of God, that they should feed her there for 2,230 days. So, again, the Bible was wrong. Just saying. Let's see. Just settled in the valley of the Wissahickon Creek, at the edge of civilization, Society of the Women of the Wilderness. That was his group. He was a benevolent leader. They strove to be a common utopia, creating a haven where simplicity, celibacy, and peace were the order of the day. From his desire to help others and spread gospel to outsiders in a non-confrontational manner, these are all like pretty on point. As far as the descriptors is nice. He founded a local school for children, and devoted faithful were taught secrets of numerology, astrology, and other occult subjects. He was called the maddest of good men. Although the world didn't end as predicted, he devoted himself to his studies of the Bible until he died in 1708. The society dissipated. He left behind a copious body of written work. I know I've heard this name before, so I went to go to that and kind of look it up. This is going to be neat too. Along with his trove of hymns, he kept a journal containing correspondence, a prayer book. He lived in a cave, now called Hermit's Cave, can be visited in the grounds of Bluebell Park in Philadelphia. How did he get to Philadelphia? I missed a step in there somewhere. When a curious pilgrim... Hold on, I missed a step here. Kept a journal. Oh, his renown was such that his portrait was the first oil painting created in the colonies. Hey, hush. And so this is one of his astrology things that he did, astrology chart. Horoscope, I should say. Pretty cool. I think that is freaking crazy that this is even in there. All right, let me go to Reverend Thomas Baker. Learning a little bit about some of these individuals is pretty cool. Reverend Thomas Baker, 201. So this was your Eight of Cups card, your second card. And, oh God, he's got like 10 pages. I want to shorten this one for real. So he was born February 6, 1832, Sussex, England, immigrated to Australia as a child. Trained to be a cobbler, but had a religious awakening and pursued a missionary career. And became a minister of the Wesleyan Church, which was formed in 1843 due to disagreements over slavery and women's rights. Early Wesleyan leaders were fierce believers in missionary work and pursued organized extensive network. Doesn't say what their stance was on those things. He went to Fiji as his first missionary, and then accompanied by his wife there, educated locals he was educated by the locals on customs, tribal groups, and started to preach in the Fijian language. His goal was to do the people good and to cause any heathens he found to lotu, but basically means to accept Christianity. So he was a converter. Not a big fan of that. He was very close with his wife. They had 3 children during the time they were in Fiji. Let's see. There's a lot. There's like literally like 5 pages. This is a big one. So obviously I can't read all of that, but I want to see. Okay. So ultimately the missionaries were attacked by another group. He was hacked to death with his axe that he had been shown the day before, the first blow. Of course, I don't even know all that. So it basically killed them. Two of the young students escaped. The bodies of the slain missionaries were piled on top of one another and presented to the Fijian god. Afterwards, they were hacked to pieces, divided, as was the custom. The villagers sang and danced to the beat of the death drum. Evening fell, firewood, and then meat was cooked. That's where I've heard this before. News of his murder shocked the missionaries, who had never encountered the sort of violence from the natives. His wife returned to Australia and eventually opened up a school for young people. Eventually, that tribe accepted Lotu, which they converted, and became repentant Christians. That is insane. That I would like to learn some more about. People soup, exactly. And then our last one is Grand Prince Czeslaw of Polotsk. Born in 1029 to the princely family of Kiev and Polotsk. His great-grandfather, Saint Vladimir, conquered Polotsk in 988. When he was born, he had a thin membrane of skin covering his face, a caul. The magician attending the birth told his mother it's a very auspicious sign that her son would have impressive skills as a sorcerer and a powerful prince has been born. He was well-educated. Sorcerers taught him magic. While his father was busy defending territories against his uncle, he began building an army of his own. And when he was crowned Prince of Polotsk at age 15 after his father's death, they were integrated as an elite corps of the army. His first endeavor as a ruler was to build the Cathedral of Holy Wisdom in the capital city. Encouraged business development, commerce flourished. So some of these, at least they're not, I always expect them all to be like evil people. So this is on the late 10s. God, some of these are so long. Lots of warring, lots of, medieval warring stuff and all of that. Let's see. He reigned over a new realm, so he did end up winning a war and having a very large swath of land in where Russia is now. He was competent. He had lots of vigor. He did as much good as possible. He had a good reputation as a warrior, magician, administrator. No princes dared to defy him because of his cleverness and wisdom. Let's see. Series of small battles and skirmishes. Ultimately, he had a relatively calm reign. At the age of 72, he died April 24th, 1101. I wonder how true and accurate those are. Body was buried inside the Cathedral of Holy Wisdom, which still stands today, now called St. Sophia Cathedral, and is the oldest church in Belarus. So very neat stuff. That's too cool. Yeah, absolutely. And I hope you're talking about the book, not the people soup. I'm just saying. So there we go. That was an interesting little history lesson. It is 11:30. We've been on for an hour. I don't know that I can continue reading that much out of the book, so I've got to get ready to go here shortly, but I can do a couple more tarot reads. Anybody else want a tarot read before we go off the line for today? Using the Magicians, Martyrs, and Madmen. And yes, the book, yeah. Look, I don't think I'd ever be able to eat people unless I was really hungry, and then I probably could. I'm just saying. Probably not. But anyway, if you have an opportunity to get the Magicians, Martyrs, and Madmen compendium that goes along with the tarot and the tarot book, it's amazing. I probably am going to sit down and do some meditation with these and kind of go through them and really hit some details, because I'd love to learn a little bit more about these historical people. And it's very heavily referenced. So, the story of the flight that went down, and like maybe I think one or two people lived, and they decided to eat people that were dead. I mean, if you do it quick enough and cook it, you're already dead. I don't know that I could kill somebody to eat them. I don't know how I'm getting on this topic. Well, yeah, because of the book. Just like, and this is one of the reasons why we're really working towards being more animal conscious and a little bit less meat eater and more vegetarian, not fully, but more, is because I couldn't kill an animal to eat it. I couldn't, hurt a chicken or any animal for that matter in order to eat it. Yet I have no problem eating chicken nuggets. That cognitive dissonance and that disconnect in my brain is one of the things that is propelling me towards eating less meat. Because if I can't do it, then I shouldn't have the result of eating it. So now, in if we were raising animals for that reason, and that was our source, and we didn't have all this other access, I think I probably could, you know, use an animal or kill an animal for food if that's that was our only source and that was what we're doing. There'd be a lot of things I'd have to do first to do that, but seriously, I think that's one of the reasons why we go forward into that. That is very interesting. Way to look at it, Dragon Dancer. I've not thought through that or seen that specifically. But thank you for sharing. Cannibalism has never been on my topics of things, but I wonder. I mean, it would be kind of interesting to learn a little bit about only in the historical fact of knowing that our ancestors were capable of doing things that we find absolutely morally reprehensible, yet we have to consider them in the context that they're in, right? So I feel like in order for me to get balanced in the animal kingdom, I have to decide that I will only eat meat that I kill myself, which will effectively make me a vegetarian now. In the future, should something happen, I don't think that that would be as big a deal for me, because there are some things that I could do, but I do have a hard time. I feel like if you're going to eat a burger, you should be the person doing it. You should be able to do the work that would take to kill that animal, because that disconnect is where I think we overindulge. And so instead of just becoming a vegetarian, my thought was, let's just significantly cut down the amount of meat that we eat now, and then we'll change it over time. Because there are other very high nutritious things that we like that don't require the death of an animal. And that is, lots of fruits and vegetables, but also dairy products that are appropriate. Eggs, cheese, those are big things for me that don't require the death of an animal. And so those things can be adjusted. So that's just kind of how I think of it. But yeah, so that's pretty much today. I want to keep this going as a habit, even though it's not really right. It's not back to normal where we want it to be, but I want to keep the habit up so that we can go and continue this process. But after this, Rook should be getting back any minute from his haircut, and we are going to hopefully hit the road here shortly and go to our house. So, if we leave here at noon, we'll get there on 3:00, probably 3:15. Stay there for just a couple of hours. That gives us enough time to run the generator for turning over the fish tanks a few times and charging up everything over there and making sure everything is copacetic. And continuing our cleaning processes so that when we do get back in there with power, it'll be in really good shape, and hopefully that the power comes back on our way there. So with that, I really do appreciate you guys coming in and checking us out. I know the times are still off. We're still not back to where it is, but we'll keep working on it. Tarot. I may continue doing the tarot live moving forward because there's so much editing, but I do like the editing. It's just sometimes it takes me a couple hours because I like to get those pictures up, but I like to have the tarot up so you guys can see it. So that probably will do what it is. But anyway, thank you so much for hanging out. This really gives us some sense of normalcy and consistency, and I hope it does for you too, and I hope it has some value. Remember, if you have any comments, please share them with us. If you have any ideas, any topics you want us to try to cover or think about covering, we will do it. Our goal is really just to hear, talk, and share. If you want to come on the show, if you want to be audio, if you, let me know. We can hook you up through, I think, Discord probably. But you don't have to. It's just, we're not going to schedule guests on the show ever. We will just allow people, we want it to be open for you to come on if you want. And then next week we will start, assuming we have power, which we will start our after show again next week when we're able to do that. So thank you again. It's always great to see you too, Heather, and we look forward to doing our next things up soon as we continue to get back onto track. So yeah, we'll use you as a test bunny because I don't know how to do it on the iPad. I think I can figure it out on the computer when we're doing our normal one, but that's why I haven't done it with this. Is I just don't know if it'll work. But yeah, we'll use you as a whatchamacallit, a test. Simona, glad you stopped in. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yeah, we're gonna do some more cleanup. We're gonna just do what we can until we get power. We're on day 12 now, so or is it 11? I might be embellishing, but whatever. We'll just keep doing what we do. And thank you again for stopping in, and thank you for those kind words. Hope you have a great day as well, all of you. And remember, if you have, what is it? I'm not trying to copy Addius. I'm just going to put it out there because I like it. Hail thyself to be for today. Thank you. Have a great rest of your Sunday.